Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Why Didn't They Laugh? A podcast designed to analyze the silence that follows a joke attempt. Today, we're going to talk about music, sex, and comedy. This episode is called This Is Your Brain on Comedy. Why is it called that? Because I just read two books. One is called This Is Your Brain on Music by Daniel Levitin. And the other one is called This Is Your Brain on Sex by, let me pronounce this properly, Kate Sukel, Kaytsukel. This Is Your Brain on Sex. Very interesting stuff, because I love knowing how the brain works. Because I like answers, especially in situations where there doesn't seem to be a lot of answers. And This Is Your Brain on Music was fascinating because I'm a musician, I'm a piano player. Let's just get right into it. Okay, I am trying to work on a bit about men being pigs. Because over and over in my life, I hear women say, men are pigs. You're a pig. You're a pig. And men always call women crazy. They're like, you're crazy. You're fucking crazy. And so I want to know why. Why are we pigs and they're crazy? Why do we perceive that? Why is that true? And one thing about This Is Your Brain on Music that was interesting was they did a study. This guy was trying to figure out if music is evolutionary cheesecake or is it necessary. Evolutionary cheesecake means it's a byproduct of language. And I'll explain why it's called cheesecake. Evolutionary cheesecake, okay, we crave fat and sugar to stay alive. We always have. We need fat, we need sugar to stay alive. And food used to be so scarce that we really crave fat and sugar because we're always starving. And now that there's so much food after the agricultural revolution and then the industrial revolution, that's why we like cheesecake, because it has so much sugar and so much fat in it that we find it like delicious. But it's really bad for us. This one scientist thought that music is just a byproduct of language, that we need language to survive. And so music basically triggers the same receptors in our brains that release dopamine that makes us happy, but it's really because of language. Daniel Levitin and a bunch of other scientists kind of disproved that by showing that music may have existed before language and that music is a sign of being sexually good. I'm trying to think of a word. Sexual prowess. Because music shows a lot of qualities in a person. You know, it shows that you're good at working in groups. You're good at organization. There's a peacocking effect where if you show you're musically talented, it means that you have enough resources to dedicate time to a skill that doesn't matter. It shows rhythm. It shows finger dexterity, which is good for the vagina. And it never went away. I mean, that's one thing. When a trait isn't necessary, usually they just die off. And music not only hasn't died off, it's increased. I mean, they found a flute made out of an extinct European bear that's like 50,000 years old. And if they're using flutes, I mean, that means the drum was like way older. And one thing stuck out to me in the book was the female brain is attracted to artistic men, but it's only at certain parts of their cycle. This is something very interesting about women, is what they're attracted to changes throughout the month. They did a study where a woman was described archetypes and given pictures and what they were attracted to based on different days in their cycle. And they found that when women were ovulating for 2 or 3 days a month, they were really attracted to poor and handsome artists. You know, artists that didn't have any money but had like defined jawlines, you know, brows, height, all that shit. Even though they didn't have any money, that's who they were more attracted to. And then the rest of the time, many times, they were more attracted to wealthy men and men of social status. And it doesn't take a neurologist to put together why. Women want good DNA when they're ovulating, and then they want someone who will make a good father the rest of the time to keep the kid alive. There's a study in France that 10% of children are not from the father that believes they're the father. That's insane. That means that there's that many, like, women will have a wealthier father raise some poor artist's kid, and the guy will never even know. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying that to kind of show that women, because one of females' biggest problems with men is that we're sexually we're pigs. That even if we're in a committed relationship, even if we're monogamous, even if we're in love, even if we find our soulmate, if we see like a sweet ass, we look at it. And we're like, yeah. And then they get mad and they're like, do you look at that? And you're like, yeah. You know, you gotta, or you say no, and then they know you're lying. That's even worse. They're like, would you want to have sex with her? And then yeah, you're like, yeah. I wouldn't, but I want to. And they're like, oh, you're such a pig. And then the argument comes in about objectifying women. It's like, oh, you objectify women. It's like, yeah, I do. So I wrote this bit a while ago about advertising, about how advertising messes with women. And so here's the bit. This one totally works. This doesn't usually fit the mold for this show, but I have to play it because then the other joke won't make sense. This is a joke real quick. To set it up, it's about how women like weddings, women like love, women like families, and advertisers manipulate that emotion. So in commercials, they play very wedding-esque music. Check this out.
There's nothing wrong with that. Embrace that shit. But what advertising companies do with that honest emotion is they manipulate women into wanting shit they don't need. Because they take that real thing and they fuck with it. Every Christmas, literally just watch any television, any commercial. It's like, this Christmas, give her what she's wanted all year. Women are like, what have I wanted? Show her that she is the core of your world. Show her that you love her as much today as the first time you saw her. Show her with this double-hearted pendant thing. Two hearts welded together in a weird shape. Looks kind of like an open snake's mouth, if you think about it. Because that's how Jane Seymour fucking wanted it for some reason. And it's $2,000. But she's worth it, isn't she? And that's where they fuck you, right? They're like, am I not worth that? I'll give you another example. This Christmas, make it a December to remember. Get her a Lexus. And put a big red bow on it so your neighbors fucking hate you. Yeah, show your neighbors how much disposable income you have, you piece of shit. You know, Lexus, the same company as Toyota. Same exact car, made in the same factories by the same people. But since it has a rear view camera that you don't need because you know how fucking mirrors work, it's $20,000 more. But you'll buy it because your balls are so fucking full of jizz, you want to blow your brains out. Jizz.
Okay, so what am I trying to show there? That yes, men objectify women sexually, and women also objectify men sexually. It's just only a couple days a month typically. You know, some women do all the time. I know some women that are just exactly like guys, and I know guys that are more like women. It's not like an exact science, but you gotta go broad strokes when you're doing comedy because you have to appeal to the most amount of lives as you can, and yeah, like ask any woman about, you know, them, like Magic Mike. It's like, of course, women objectify men. But the point I'm trying to make with this is women objectify love, which is almost more insane. Where it's like that love is represented by a little diamond, a little rock, and that which has no actual value. Like De Beers literally keeps them in warehouses so that the prices are inflated. I mean, it's just like it's a worthless pebble, and that represents, you know, love, and that, you know, that's pretty intense. And I'm not against diamonds or anything. I'm just saying that if we're going to point out each other's flaws, that kind of stands out to me. And I started thinking about this watching Susie Orman, because she was talking, she always talks about money and debt and how to manage your money. And you see so many couples having money problems. And a lot of times it's from buying things that don't enhance their life or their children's life at all. It's things, just things. It's not education. It's not a home that can increase in value. It's just stuff. It's shit. And, a lot of marriages are destroyed because of money problems, like debt. And just money is usually the root of most conflict in a marriage. But for some reason, a man looking at another woman gets so much more airtime. It's like Ebola. It's like everyone's like, oh, that guy is such a fucking pig. And I'm like, okay, let's look at it from the other perspective. So I started working on this song. Obviously, it starts bombing at first because what I'm trying to bite off here is pretty insane. Like, this is like kind of holy grail shit. It's like you don't justify male lust. Because another thing I thought about is how open women can be about their crushes. They're like, oh my God, Justin Timberlake, he's so hot. Or like the dude from The Notebook, like, oh, his abs. And guys have to just be like, oh yeah, that's cool. Go to the concert. No, it's fine. It's like, I'll buy the tickets. And usually guys even like it. We're like, oh yeah, when she comes home from the Timberlake concert, she's going to want to get busy because she's so horny. Yeah, read 50 Shades of Grey. Hell yeah, it'll put you in the mood. But can you imagine if like a guy's favorite porn star comes to a strip club and you like really want tickets? Like, would your girl buy you the tickets and sit there as you stare at their tits? Of course not. Like I do a bit about deeper, where it's like acceptable for women to say deeper during sex, where it's like deeper, and you're like that? It's like deeper, it's like that. And the joke is like, do you think we're holding out? Like, do you think we have any more penis to give you? Like when a woman says deeper, that means that they think that we have some dick in the bank that we're keeping off the market, where it's like deeper. It's like, no, baby, you don't get that last inch. That's for me. It's like deeper. No, that's all you get. You don't get to swim in the deep end. And how absurdly offensive it would be if a man said tighter. It's like, tighter, baby, tighter. I'm not a chauvinist. I'm not anti-woman in any way. I'm just anti-hypocrisy. And I think women have a right to be more, women make babies. They can make life. They deserve more respect than men in a lot of ways. But, you just hear so much shit about men just being pigs. So here's a first attempt at this song. And, bear in mind, songs will almost always get some sort of applause at the end. But that's just because you're playing music. But these are bombs. This is all bombing. I'll show you. What are you talking about? All right, here we go. Ladies, ladies, you know that feeling when you see some new shoes and you say, I fucking love those shoes, even though I already have like 1,000 pair. I can't really afford them, but I fucking deserve it, 'cause I work hard all day. I really just wanna be inside those Jimmy Choos. Well, ladies, that's how we feel about pussy. Just wanna be inside there. Do you ever not? No. Yeah, that one, One thing I don't like the word ladies coming from a male comedian's mouth. You just sound, I say it sometimes, but if you say it too much, it sounds a little hacky, where you're like, listen, ladies. Also, Jimmy Choos, very specific. I just wanted something to rhyme with shoes. I was kind of making up as I went. I don't think I set that up properly. There's just a lot wrong with that. So I give it, here's another try. Here's the song. It goes, ladies. I'm making this up right now. Okay. Ladies, you know that feeling when you see some shoes at the store and you say, I love those shoes, even though I have like 20 pair and I probably can't afford them, but I work hard for right, never a good sign when I have to say that's the end to get applause. One thing I've noticed, women don't like the word vagina. They always say they do, but they don't. Women always get a little, like, when you say vagina on stage, women always look like freaked out. You know, and when you say, like, pussy, they're like, if you say cunt, obviously you probably go to, like, prison. If you say pussy, it's like, oh, you're pig. Vagina, it's like, you know, that's weird. I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of in a bad mood today, but we're getting through it anyway. Fuck it. I'm a little negative. But, yeah, I'm trying to get there with this song. I do figure out what to do. It's not completely fixed yet, but I'll show you why I played you the canon in D thing in the beginning, because that's kind of that's kind of necessary. Because the thing about mating, this is your brain on sex, kind of goes through it. I mean, we're talking about like dopamine and oxytocin released in your basal ganglia of your brain. It's like there's shit that we have no control over. And men feel a lot of guilt about that. We feel like guilt when we just want to fuck somebody, and then your girl's like, that hurts me so bad, and you're like, well, I'm sorry. And I wanted to understand why we feel that way. Like, why is that? Like, why can someone just do that? And it's because our DNA is too old. It's like our DNA still thinks that it's like 50,000 years ago, and men still think that they have to like have as much sex as possible before they die. And they used to die at like 16, 20 by like a ice sheet fell on their head, and then a woolly mammoth fucked them or something. And women like have that paranoia where they think that like if a guy doesn't come home that they'll die. And that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, if your guy messes up, you pretty much just get a check in the mail and you get to bang the pool guy anyway. Okay, here's another shot at it.
Because women equate sex with falling out of love. That's why they fucking hate us so much. That's why they're like, you want to fuck her? What's wrong with me? It's like, nothing's wrong with us. It's everyone. I want to fuck everyone. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with any of them. So I wrote a song to help explain to women what it feels like for us, because they just don't understand. I feel like if they understood, they would get it. So this is my attempt. That's the beginning of, what's that song? I heard. Sorry, that fucking Adele song? All right. That you, how's that go? I heard that you settled down for her fucking. Never mind on someone like you. I didn't realize that was the same opening chord. It's weird. All right, anyway. Hey ladies, you know that feeling when you see a bag at the store. You already have 10, but you kinda want that one too. Even though you're in credit card debt, you feel you deserve it, 'cause how hard you work, even though you have a bag better at home. But you'll still buy it, 'cause you wanna be inside of it. That's how we feel about pussy.
There we go. The old callback. Because that's our special day. That's our wedding moment. It's when we're just inside of you. And it's like, it's interesting being in a relationship. When you're in a relationship for a long period of time, you go through phases where your girl will say like really sexual shit where it's like, oh, I get turned on thinking about you with another woman. And you're like, yeah? And then 3 days later, it's like, you just like someone else's picture on Facebook. I'm going to fucking kill you. And it's like, but you said you were like turned on thinking about me fucking, like, what? And so like, you have to really think about this shit. Like, why? And it's because of like what women want. It's dependent on where they are in their cycle. It depends on their hormones. It depends on everything. It depends on what chemical is being released in their brain. And it's the same with men. Like younger men, I don't think can really be in a relationship very well unless they have a really firm moral code or structure that keeps them away from other women. The older you get, the more that you can weigh things and think in terms, you know, you have like more experience and more wisdom where you can look at a stranger and just be like, I would wake up dehydrated and guilty, and it's not worth it, you know? But the desire's there. And I think that, you know, we can't really get angry at each other for having desires. You can get angry at actions. You could get angry at putting your loved ones at risk because of your actions. And I think buying like shit you don't need is on the same level as sex. I really do. If you're like a space alien or a fly on the wall and you like look at a couple, like having sex with someone else isn't worse than spending all your money on purses and diamonds, getting in debt, and then fighting all the time because you have to work so much that you can never be around your children and they don't get to go to college. You know, it's like, who made these rules that is so much worse? It's like materialism, literally, it almost like is bankrupting our entire nation. You know, we're in credit card debt. The country owes money to like a Discover card in China. It's like we spend too much fucking money. Here's one other shot at it. I changed a few things. Let's give this one a shot.
And the reason women get so offended is because they equate sex with sex. Like if a woman cheats on you, it's probably fucking bad, right? Like she probably is like searching for someone else. Like she's not emotionally satisfied. When a guy wants to fuck someone else, it's just because he exists. So I figured out what the comparison is to help women understand the feeling, because it's not the same feeling you have. So here's the song I wrote. Hey, hey, ladies, you know that feeling when you get that little itch. It happens when you see a handbag, and even though you have 5, you want to buy that handbag. Even though you have one, you're literally holding one in your hand. And it's crazy expensive, unjustifiably expensive, but you'll still spend your rent money on that. When you see shoes, and you're like, I love those shoes. And I'm like, but you already have the exact same pair. And you're like, but that one is slightly different. I really wanna be inside that shoe. That's how we feel about pussies. Oh, look at that one. Oh, no way. What's that one? Oh, what's that one like? Oh my God, I'm on a shopping spree. It's an exact comparison, by the way. If you ever want to understand what they're feeling, that's it. That's it. It's not about like betrayal and love, it's just an itch.
Because I always thought that when men say they're sex addicts, it's almost like a brag. It's very similar to when women say they're shopaholics. Where if a woman's like, I'm a shopaholic, other women are like, you fucking bitch. Like, way to rub in that you have more money than me to do what you want. It's the same with guys. Like, when you ever see, like, famous guys and they're like, I'm a sex addict, it's like, all right, guy. And, yeah. So music, sex, and comedy are all very similar in the fact that it releases dopamine in your brain that allows you to feel more communal with the people around you. Orgasms, songs. And it's all about safety. You know, it's about feeling safe. That's why people become fans of yours, and then they feel safe to enjoy it. That's one of the points they made in This Is Your Brain on Music. Like, for example, Wagner. people don't really get on board with Wagner because of his close relationship with Adolf Hitler, that Hitler loved Wagner, and people get a little nervous to like enjoy Wagner. It's the same with comedy. It's like if you see a comedian and you think, oh no, he's going to attack me, he's going to swear, he's going to attack my religion, he's going to do all these things that are going to make me feel uncomfortable, they're less likely to laugh. It's very similar with sex, where it's like, if this person isn't safe, I'm not going to have sex with them. It's the same in music. That if they're going to make me, like, I'm not going to open up emotionally if they're going to hurt me. And that's why our brains enjoy music that we know. That's why you see a lot of the same chord progressions in so many songs, because it's a sense of safety. But here's the thing, with music and with sex and with comedy, you have to change it up a little. If you expect something's coming and it always comes, then you start detaching. Your brain starts not feeling pleasure. It stops releasing oxytocin and endorphin, and you no longer like it. It's an inverted U shape, where if a music is too simple, you don't enjoy it. And then when it gets more complicated, you enjoy it more if you relate to the structure. And then if it gets even more complicated, you start not liking it anymore. You can see that with Miles Davis. Kind of Blue is unbelievable. And then he does Bitches Brew, and it's just all over the map. So he lost 90% of the people are like, I don't understand that. It's too chaotic. And but 10% like loved it. Very similar with comedy. You'll see like some crazy out there concept that a small amount of people will find brilliant, and most people don't. And then you'll see like Larry the Cable Guy, which is very simple, or the dude smashing watermelons, or Carrot Top, and it's simple, but it people like it because they know what to expect. They're like, he's gonna say some shit and then he's gonna smash a watermelon. I like that. But his career didn't maintain because everyone's like, will you smash a grapefruit? He's like, no, I smash watermelons. And they're like, well, you got to change it up. It's the same with love. You get in a routine with someone where that feels good, where there's things about them that you do every day and you look forward to every day. But then every now and then you got to change it up a little and do something spontaneous to keep your brain active. Because the parts of your brain that are in lust is different than when you're in romantically in love, and it's different from a long-term pair bond. And it takes actual effort to maintain all those parts, You got to touch a lot. They've done studies on monkeys where couples that are touchy, that touch a lot, maintain stronger bonds, have a higher dose of oxytocin. And there's so much in those two books that I just recommended that there's no chance I can possibly cover all of it. Music evokes emotion, and emotion is linked to memory. That's why soldiers or rape victims or any of these people that have experienced trauma remember it so clearly, because that's what post-traumatic stress is. It's when you experience heightened emotion, your brain locks onto what it sees and hears and smells. That's why some of these people have such a hard time after, because they can relive it so intensely. And the good side of that coin is comedy and music and sex, where that's why I like to play piano sometimes with jokes, because music will make you feel. And then when you feel, you're open to more words and more concepts, and you have a higher chance of remembering it and keeping it inside you because you're affected. And any performer has to affect you. They have to affect you in some way. So I guess that's my job, is to affect. And I'm trying to do it. But it takes some work. I'm looking at some other notes I wrote. This is already kind of a long one. So I'm not going to, maybe I'll break this up. I'll do another one. I'll do another episode about music just at my piano. I won't even play you guys jokes that bomb. I'll just show you what music does, like what a minor chord does, what a major chord does, you know, how melody has to stay within a certain range or else your brain doesn't comprehend it. The speed of music, the timbre, the composition. It's all so amazing because your brain, you know, I believe music's older than language. You know, the first rhythm we hear is our mother's heart beating. And it's tough to learn new styles of music the older you get, just like language. I have a hard time learning jazz because I wasn't exposed to it as a kid. Music also shows what culture you subscribe to. When you say you like an artist, it says that that's the culture that you most relate to. And one of my close friends, Steve Byrne, does a joke about that, about how black people getting pulled over by the cops always wonder why the cops are giving them a hard time. And they're like, because you're blasting music that says you relate to a criminology, that it's like, fuck the police. It's like selling crack, hoes, smacking hoes. It's like, why are they always messing with me? Steve's punchline, I'm kind of butchering the joke, but if you want to mess with the cops, blast country music, where it's like, honky tonk, it's like, hello, officer. And the officer's like, you're free to go. What the fuck was that? Was that a unicorn? It's an awesome joke. You got to see him do it. But, you know, there's such deep truth to that, where you see a lot of people being like, why is this cop messing with me? It's like, you have an NWA t-shirt on. Like the music you're playing, like Jay-Z literally sings about how to sell crack cocaine, how to sell women. Like 1-900-HUSTLER is about a hotline to call him about how to sell crack in a new city. So do you think cops may assume that you're doing something wrong? Yes. It's been like that for like 50,000 years, where it's like, this is the type of music you relate to. This is who I am. Yeah, you know, people that like Taylor Swift, a lot of them are young, going through those emotions of, I don't fucking know. I like Taylor Swift, but I can't even quote any of her songs. Shake It Up. She likes to shake it up. Likes to shake it. That's why the hip hop music I always liked was like The Roots and Tribe Called Quest and Diggable Planets and shit like that, because it was like, it had that rhythm, that hip hop rhythm that I love, but they'd sing about like squirrels and shit. It was awesome. It's not as fun to rap along to people, you know, about how to smack a woman in the face because she didn't fuck a stranger. That's so funny about Jay-Z. It's like Beyonce has like feminists in lights behind her, and her husband, you know, is like, and by the way, I like Jay-Z's music. A lot of Jay-Z's music's phenomenal. I mean, the Black Album, the Blueprint, fucking all that stuff. You know? Threats. I've been making threats since I was in kindergarten. Shit's great to listen to, but it's like, can you really claim you're a feminist when your husband has given a blueprint on how to sell crack to children and keep women in bonds so they can fuck and suck for money for a pimp? I mean, it's just so mind-blowing that I don't even know why. Sometimes I feel like the world is like joking. It's like, that's like a punchline, that Beyonce's a feminist. It's like that she's, you know, and I'm not being a hater, guys. I'm not being a hater at all. It's just like, what the fuck are they talking about? Female empowerment. All right, guys. This episode has been very negative, and I should have come in with a positive attitude, but the whole point of podcasts is just long-form honesty, I guess, and that's just the fucking truth. So, enjoy, and really think next time when you're like thinking that a woman's crazy or that a guy's a pig, think about what about their brain is telling them to do that, and is it really worth arguing about? All right, guys. Have a good day. Stay hydrated. Later.